Got him. Nice. There's so many fish were coming in. Looking at this gear. Surprised it took me that long to get one to take it. Let's get it up. All right. Oh, look at that. It's a brown. Cool. That's pretty. Check that out. Beautiful little brown trout. I'm running Dodgers versus no Dodgers for trout underneath the ice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a rig, identical rig. This has got a Paulina Peak 4.5-inch Dodger. I think this is what they call their ice pattern. It's just ironic. It's just the blue and silver tape. And then about 18 inches below that, I've got a white scud fly. This is a barbless no bait fishery, so this is that, just that. And I've also got a rod that has the same fly, but no Dodger. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 12 minutes fishing with one rig and record the number of fish I see, number of fish I catch, and then compare it. I'm going to do that maybe across 5 different holes. And we'll just see what the average number of fish we see with the Dodger versus without the Dodger, and then also kind of see, is there a difference in catch rates? I mean, obviously, we use Dodgers in open water not only to add action to our lures, but also as an attractor. And so I was curious, can they be used to attract trout underneath the ice and improve our catch rates? So I've seen a lot of fish in the short time I'm here with the Dodger. And that was the first one I was able to get bite. So let's get back down there. I'm going to restart the clock. I've been fishing just for 6 minutes, and I've already seen 6 fish, caught one in those 6 minutes with the Dodger. I mean, they've just been coming in like crazy to investigate. So let's get this back down there and restart the clock. Now, I've never actually done this for trout before. I've definitely done the Dodger jig thing for kokanee, but I've never explicitly tested it for trout. However, I wouldn't be surprised to see better results, at least in terms of number of fish attracted using the Dodger, just because trout are very curious. They're very visual feeders. And I mean, that is part of the primary purpose when we're out trolling in open water, that we use Dodgers or flashers, is to attract the fish. And, you know, in the ice fishing, you're really limited on how much you can actually move around. So being able to effectively draw fish to you is a really challenging thing to do, but it would seem that a Dodger would allow you to do that. We'll see what happens today. I'm starting in 23 feet of water. I'll try and do a variety of depths and locations on the lake, so I might go out really deep, I might go in really shallow, and just see if it gives us different results, you know. So there you can kind of see the Dodger, and there's the jig below it. I'm just kind of working it up and down through the water column at different depths and jigging it. I haven't seen any fish here yet. Okay, so that's 12 minutes. We ended up seeing 7 trout there, and hooking and landing 1. So let's switch up to the plain fly. Here comes the fish. Ooh, that's a good bite. I missed him. Came up once, nibbled it, went back down. It's gone. Weird. Okay, 1 fish. That's the weirdest thing. He came just barreling up, dap, drop. Like, barely just nibbled it. I wanted to do this experiment on a selective gear rules lake, because then it's really a good judgment of just how effective it is at attracting fish and also enticing fish to strike. Because in this lake, because you're not allowed bait, it's really hard to get the fish to bite. They have to be really engaged with the target and excited about it. So a lot of times I'll come up here, I'll just, you know, I'll see a lot of fish, but catch a very small percentage. So I think this will be a really good experiment, because it will really test that. Because not only is it going to test how well does a Dodger versus without Dodger attract trout, but it's also going to look at, you know, does it entice them into striking more often? So I'll be curious to see as we go through the day here if we get more fish landed on the Dodger or not. I think the next hole I'm going to drill, I'm going to move in tighter to the bank and fish shallow and see how that does. Okay, so that's it. That's 12 minutes up. Only 2 fish came in on the naked jig versus 7 with the Dodger. I'm recording all my data on a piece of paper so I don't forget. I would expect near shore, like in this shallow water, for the Dodger to not have as big as an advantage because it, you know, when it's out deeper water, it can draw fish from further around, just because there's more depth to do that. But you never know. I mean, maybe there's the Dodger's also creating a disturbance down there, and fish can detect out in that lateral line, so it still might work even better here shallow. I expect to see fewer fish overall near shore here, but we'll see. I've got about 10 seconds left here with just the jig and 5 foot of water, and I haven't seen a fish the entire time. All right, so pull it up. We're going to switch up to the Dodger and see what happens. Okay, we got about 10 seconds left here, shallow, so clearly not a very fishy spot. Had no fish with just the plain jig and just 1 fish with the Dodger and jig. Now I'm going to go out to a much deeper area and see if that gives a different result. Okay, so we've moved out to 40 feet of water. We're going to start with the Dodger first and see what happens. Hopefully we see some more fish out here than we did near shore. You can see there's a fish that came up to look at it and then went back down. You can see there's the Dodger, and then the little line below it's the lure. There's 3 fish already I've drawn in, just haven't got any to bite. We saw just 1 fish with the plain jig on our last stop. So let me crunch some numbers here. So without the Dodger, just the plain scud fly, I saw 5 fish on the graph for a total of 60 minutes of fishing time, and I did not catch any of those fish, although I did get a bite. With the Dodger, I had 15 fish, so 3 times as many, but I was only able to get 1 of those to bite, so it was a really slow day in terms of bite. So I can, I think, pretty definitively say that fishing with a Dodger will draw in more fish. You know, I'm running this about 18, 20 inches above the tungsten scud fly. Consistently every time the Dodger rig had at least twice as many fish, or in the case where we had 0 and it had 1, I guess it had infinitely more. But yeah, it was a really tough bite though. So I think that having the Dodger, I can definitively say attracts and draws in fish, but I can't say for sure whether or not it really is going to result in more fish caught. I think theoretically it should, especially if you're having a more aggressive bite. I think just by the very laws of chance, you know, more fish present around your gear, you're more likely to catch. It really makes me wonder what would happen if I ran like the Dodger alone on a jigging stick and then a few feet away was fishing with maybe a small spoon or some other type of lure. You might be able to actually just keep drawing in fish. So maybe that's something I'll have to experiment with in the future. All right, I'll put links to everything I used here. If you have any questions, just hit me up in the comment section, and I'll see you next time. Just remember, fish smarter, not harder. Bye, guys.